Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Games and Things, the conference tournaments, the NCAA tournament right around the corner. You can watch them in style with a new home theater seat or seats from Games and Things. Find the right seats for your room and your budget. Boy, they've got a huge selection. They are the home theater seat kings of East Tennessee. Games and Things. You can also check them out online at ourgameroom.com. Okay. Let me go ahead and show you this. This is what I was talking about going to the break. If you combine the plans of Bob, Josh, me, Vince, and Jimmy, you've got 24 schools. All right, so you would have added Nebraska, Notre Dame, Ohio State, West Virginia, Virginia Tech, Clemson, North Carolina, Florida State, Miami. I think that's it for the news, but that would get you 24. You would think, well, no, that's 25. No, it isn't, because all five of us said Vandy is out.
Right.
I mean, it is interesting that we all believe Vandy should be out. And the funny thing is, and you can come back here, when you look at Vanderbilt, they've actually won 5 of the last 11 against Tennessee, and yet we still look at it. It's like, don't care, I still don't take them seriously.
I just told you how bad Tennessee was, so, you know.
30,000
no kudos to
stadium.
Vandy.
Yeah. Let's let everybody else vote. You can't vote for your own plan. What's the best plan out of these? I kind of like Vince's in theory. If everybody else played along and you could make the conferences kind of go back to what they initially were,
right?
I would do that.
And you mentioned for the exercise not to really put too much consideration into the realism. Like, don't worry about whether it can happen. So that's why with my stroke leading the SEC, that everyone else will fall in line and have similar geographically based and with some standard five different 12-team leagues and kind of a super level.
You know, I kind of like Vince's plan too. I don't mind shrinking it down.
Well, I've already been declared the winner. So,
so I would out of all these, not including my own, and Nebraska, Cornhuskers, I think I might go with it.
No need to include your own, Bob.
Josh and I are the only two guys that like West Virginia.
Yeah.
Could they fit better? I mean, they're crazy. They're nuts. There's nothing. That's another thing. It's a one-horse town. Most of the SEC teams are one-horse towns. Sorry, Knoxville, we are. If UT went away, one-horse town. It's the town.
I also have a guy in a coonskin cap with a long rifle, which fits right.
That's right.
You know.
Let me ask you this: if you go back and look at the SEC, and what's funny is, I think we mentioned this last week, all these expansion deals have been staggered. The first wave was just so everybody could get to 12 teams and get to their conference championship game. The next round was about new geography so you could get cable, because everybody had to have a cable network, and we get in there. Now it's just, we just want the best brand, so we'll get better games and better matchups for the TV partners to throw money at us. If you just started today and you're just looking at brands, I don't think these leagues, I don't think the SEC goes to Missouri. I don't think that the Big Ten goes to Rutgers and Maryland.
No.
And if you take out the ACC's crazy long binding contract, I think there are a lot of teams that would have already left the ACC for the SEC. I mean, look at it this way. Do you think that the SEC would have gone, and if you'd been asked 20 years ago, the SEC more likely to get 4 ACC teams or 4 Southwest Conference Big 12 teams?
4 ACC.
Agreed.
I mean, yeah, definitely.
So I just wonder.
Those were the prior conversations, right?
Yeah.
Florida State and Bobby.
Well, one of the stumbling blocks was the existing SEC schools didn't want another school too close to them,
Like Florida State,
and in their TV market as well.
Georgia Tech,
which is now out the window.
Right.
I mean, Texas A&M didn't want Texas, and the league still said, well, you're taking them.
Right.
No, I really think as this thing goes on, the combined thing at the end that showed all of our plans might actually end up being similar to what the plan is, and then it comes to what you and I have talked about. You get this big, and then you start cutting it back, and you
splintered again.
Who would out of that bunch would be the current Swanee that would want out?
If you got to
The University of the South Swan.
Well, with so much money involved, I don't know that anybody would want out now.
Well, and one interesting
Georgia
thing.
Tech looks at it as a huge mistake. The Georgia Tech people, it was a Bobby Dodd decision to get out, and you can talk to people who say it was a horrible decision.
And they rue that to this day.
Yeah.
Everybody had Vanderbilt out and Clemson in. That's kind of interesting. That makes me think if you could go get one school, it would be Clemson.
It would be Clemson.
Yeah, that's true. I thought that was interesting. How many? There were only you, me, were Florida State. Well, you were Florida State. So three
Right,
Florida
three
States.
Florida State
You didn't have
folks.
Florida State, did you?
And Nebraska.
Yeah, to me, a much better fit. To me, I would rather have Florida State than Clemson is better right now.
Right.
I don't know. I just always the line is they're Auburn with a lake. I always kind of look at them at Auburn, and I look down my nose at Auburn.
Yeah.
So I would rather have Florida State than Clemson. But and the interesting thing is with Florida State, you kind of put them in a West because they're in the Panhandle. Really, they're kind of over there next to Auburn, Alabama.
Well, the idea of West Virginia could grow on me too, but it is not a school on a Saturday. If I'm just going to sit there, I'm going to watch college football games today and just flip around. I rarely go to their game.
But I wonder about the academics at West Virginia. If we
Man,
could go
I'm with John. I'm with John. We are so far beyond academic.
I think
Matter
they
of
would-
fact, that's
Can't worry
another
about
reason to need Vanderbilt. Take you and your smart guys and just go somewhere
I
else.
think West Virginia would grow on you kind of like in Arkansas, right? Where
Although
you're like-
you didn't, you're not. You almost booted Arkansas.
Yeah, I had Arkansas out of my first round. Then I had to bring them back.
But I think West Virginia is very much like Arkansas. I think South Carolina is really good. And for the record, we got people watching Kentucky. I wouldn't actually throw Kentucky out. I mean, let's face it. The only thing I didn't want to do with mine that went to 18, if I went to 20, I can't play everybody in 4 years.
right,
Right.
That was
And I just
important.
didn't want, I wanted everybody in 4 years. But what's funny, if you think about it, is the idea that, well, every player should be able to go to every campus. How many players actually stay out of school for 4 years now? So
they-
maybe that's
Yeah.
time to stop worrying
That
about
used
that.
They'll
to
end up
be-
transferring to one of those games.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I said. That used to be more of a factor before the portal, correct? You know.
Yeah. Josh, you have, go ahead.
Well, we also discussed off camera the idea of scheduling NFL style, where it's more random, and you just have a schedule release
Yes,
every
schedule release
summer
day.
because fans freak out about it. It adds intrigue to what are you going to face next year instead of knowing years in advance.
It's a TV show.
Right.
The
It is
league
a
makes
TV
money,
show
too.
where you're going to make money and you're going to drum up
And
conversations.
the
about it.
NFL, what releases the opponents, and then they release
In
home and
2020,
away.
when they had to
where
change
they're
the
actually
schedule,
gonna play, yeah.
the anticipation of
Yeah.
the new schedule because
So-
of COVID was
all
that's
over-
wild, and the overreaction was terrific.
It was all over social media. Yeah, it was the league's cheating us. No, they're helping them. No, I agree with you. The schedule release thing is huge. If the SEC goes to this 3 permanent, 6 rotating, lock in your 3 permanent for one part of the year, fine. But those other 6, I want them shuffled and changed. I don't want it to be, well, this will always be Texas A&M. When they come in, we always
Right.
get them here. Now shuffle it up, make it all crazy.
And John, one quick thing. I'm sorry if I struggled being the judge, you guys. I'm not used to be on this side of the proceedings.
Very good. All right. When
Used to
we
being
come
judged.
back- when we come back, UT Athletics lost a legendary figure this week, Gus Manning. We'll talk about him and the unusual situation. You usually don't see guys who aren't a coach or a player become legendary figures. We'll discuss Gus Manning and Haywood Harris next on the Sports Source. Come on back.